Good evening and welcome to the hybrid in-person and virtual meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Central Frontenac. For those who are new to joining us this evening, my name is Lynn Clegus and I am the chair of the committee. Also joining us are committee members Danny Meeks, Bill Everett, Nikki Gowdy, Phil Smith, Susan Irwin, and Bill McDonald. We are also joined by Township and County Planning staff, Abby McKinnon and Jenny Kapusta, as well as Chris Nelson, who will be assisting us as the meeting host. This evening's meeting will follow the agenda that has been posted online. Staff have prepared a presentation for each application, which will be displayed on the screen during the meeting. For each application, we will follow this format. Number 1, I, as chair, will introduce the agenda item. 2, the planner will provide an overview of the application. 3, the applicant or their agent will then have an opportunity to speak. 4, committee members may then ask questions of staff, the applicant, or their agent. 5, members of the public will then have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments. Anyone wishing to speak is encouraged to do so at this time. 6, the committee will then deliberate and vote on the application. 7, voting will take place by a show of hands for those attending in person or by verbal confirmation for those attending virtually. 8, I will then announce the result of the vote. All members of the public are welcome to provide comments on new applications. Please note that as of January 1st, 2023, only persons specified in the Planning Act are permitted to appeal consent and minor variance applications. Following the meeting, Township staff will provide a copy of the committee's decision to the applicant and to anyone who has requested to be notified within the time period prescribed by the Planning Act. Should you have any questions after the meeting, please reach out to Township staff. The applicant, the minister, or any prescribed public body with an interest in the matter may appeal the committee's decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of the date of decision or notice. Appeals must be submitted through the e-file portal. Details regarding the e-file system will be provided in the notice of decision. I will now ask Chris Nelson to provide an overview of how members participating virtually can take part in the meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Once the meeting is open to the public, the Chair will ask if anyone has any questions or comments. Members of the public attending virtually are asked to use the raise hand feature at the bottom of their screen to indicate that they wish to speak. Staff will notify the Chair and unmute your microphone. A notification will appear once the microphone has been unmuted. Please allow a brief moment after unmuting your microphone before speaking. If you're calling in by phone, please dial *9 when you would like to raise your hand during the meeting. You will hear a prompt on the phone that you have raised your hand, and you will be notified when your microphone has been unmuted. This afternoon, it looks as though we have 1 member of the public participating with us online and 0 in person.
In the unlikely event that connection issues arise and the meeting cannot be restored within 15 minutes, the meeting will be postponed. Staff will contact each applicant and a notice will be posted on the Township's social media. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Approval of the agenda, moved by Bill Everett and seconded by Susan Irwin, that the agenda of July 14th, 2026 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Does anybody have anything to disclose? Seeing none, that's noted. Approval of minutes. The minutes of May 12th, 2026, moved by Dan Meeks, seconded by Philip Smith, that the minutes of May 12th, 2026 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Deferred items. Are there any deferred items, Abby?
No, there is not.
Applications for consent, are there any?
No, there is not.
Applications for minor variance. First up, APPN 2026-0023, Sackle, Myers Design and Build. I invite Jenny to present the details to us at this point.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an application that the committee may be familiar with. In January of 2026, a similar application to this was before the committee. At that time, it was seeking permission to expand an existing legal non-compliant cottage, which the permission was granted for, and construction is well underway. At that time, there was also a request for a reduction in water body setback from 30 meters to 21 meters for the installation of the septic system. That was also granted at that time. Once construction began and site conditions were better able to be viewed, obviously in January, there was a little snow on the ground was frozen. It was determined that the original proposal would not work on the site without some redesign of the cottage. There's some egress and stairs that would be directed towards that septic system. And there's some separation required with building code that wouldn't allow that without redesigning the cottage, which again was substantially constructed and underway at that point. So the applicant has opted to reapply for a new minor variance to further reduce the setback for the septic system. So essentially the pipes will be a bit longer rather than a bit wider, and that way it can fit within the constraints of the site without having to do significant alternative redesigns of the cottage. So here on the screen, you can see, there's my mouse there. The yellow square is the septic field. Again, it was extending a little bit in front of the cottage originally under the previous approval, and will extend further from 21 meters to minimum of 15. Likely not quite to the 15, but we're going to the absolute sort of minimum to give them flexibility, depending in case they counter any more granite outcroppings or rocks on the site or things, and that way it'll allow them to get the septic system installed without having to come back a third time or any other variances, things like that on the site. So this application was recirculated to Quinte Conservation. And here I can show you when it catches up. So you can see there on the left side is the cottage. The septic tanks are going to go in approximately the foreground of this, with the septic bed extending down towards the water. Here is, sorry, there we go. Here now is the picture. So we've walked down that slope and we're sort of in front of, in line with the cottage. You can see the stake here. Originally they were trying to keep further back, just again, design and site layout wasn't possible. So they're going to extend further. It will require the removal of a couple of extra trees, but they're still going to maintain the full vegetative buffer from the 15 meters down to the shoreline. And again, from the end of that 15 meters down to the shoreline, the septic system in this picture would essentially be just off the right-hand side. So that whole tree cover and all of the vegetation from that point down onto the shoreline and the map floodplain area will be maintained. So as I said, this was recirculated to Quinte Conservation as there was a further encroachment towards the high water mark in the floodplain. They did review this application and again confirmed that the setbacks are measured to the 1 in 100-year floodplain for the lakes for all the proposed structures in this case, which is just the septic system. For this specific property, the 1 in 100-year floodplain is actually the same location as the high water mark or the shoreline. On some other properties, there's a little bit of a discrepancy, but it was confirmed that the measurements were all taken to, again, the shoreline or the floodplain, which is the same on this property. They did note that any works, including the septic, would require a permit from them. The applicants have submitted a permit to both Conservation Authority and the Township Building Department for this revised design. To ensure full transparency, and the Conservation Authority has no objections to this revision as proposed. the existing on-site services, again, there was no formal records of installation. There's at least an outhouse for sure, possibly a holding tank. But the class 4 system will be, even at that reduced setback, will be an improvement, as we will know what's there and know how it's being treated and have it appropriately taken care of on the site. There were no public comments received regarding this application, and subject to anything raised at this meeting, planning staff are recommending approval of this application as submitted and subject to the conditions in the planning report. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Does the applicant or their agent have anything that they would like to say at this point?
Please use the raise hand feature if you'd like to speak. Seeing none. Never mind. No. No. Okay. Your microphone is unmuted.
Madam Chair, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
It's Ty Myers here. Nothing else to add. Just wanted you guys to know that I was here and available for any further questions. And I appreciate your the committee and the staff's reasonable approach to this. Thank you.
Thanks. Do the committee members here have any questions to ask the staff applicant or the agent? Seeing none at this time, are there any members of the public that would like to speak? Okay. I guess I'll read the motion at this point. Moved by Nikki Gowdy and seconded by Bill Everett that minor variance application APPN 2025-0056 SACL for the concession 1 part lot 15 registered plan 13R189 part 9 and part 11 geographic township of Hinchinbrook Township of Central Frontenac be approved to permit a class 4 sewage system with a reduced setback of 15 meters or 49.2 feet from the high water mark of St. Andrew Lake, and that the effect of the application is to permit a variance from section 5.6.2 and 4.26.5.a of the zoning bylaw 2011-52 as amended to allow the development. And further, that the Secretary Treasurer shall issue the notice of decision in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, including providing the notice of decision to the applicant, any person or public body that made a written request to be notified, and any other person or public body prescribed. All in favor? Yes.
Just, can you repeat what you have for an application number? Because I think it's different than what's in our package.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yes.
that is correct. That application number should read APBN 2026-0023. It was a copy and paste error from the previous application where I just didn't want to get all of that same information. So I just copied it. Thank you.
Thanks for doing that, Phil. So you've got that? All right. All in favor? Motion is carried. Is there any other planning business?
No, there is not.
I'll call for adjournment, moved by Bill McDonald and seconded by Dan Meeks, that this meeting be adjourned until August 11th, 2026 at 5 p.m. virtually and in person in the council chambers located at 14216 Road 38, Sharbot Lake, or at the call of the chair. All in favor? Carried. Meeting adjourned at 5:14.